Ostracized. Now, I've spoken about in a previous video the Nesvychian Empire, which is sort of where the bigger 5e game, when that game comes around, is going to take place. Now, I'm hoping that'll be with a bigger party, it sort of depends on what happens, timescales, how the video channel is going. It'd be amazing if, like, honestly, there's a Ko-fi link below. If you want to see a really big campaign at some point, go support me on that. I can start putting money back into the channel. Well, I'm already putting money into the channel, but I can start not be losing money from putting money into the channel, which means I can put more money into the channel so that I can get, like, better filming equipment, better recording equipment, better just everything. And then when that campaign kicks off, hey, that's going to be awesome. But right now, I want to talk about the ostracized people of the Nesvychian Empire. Now, the Nesvychian Empire is the larger landmass of my world. It's in the northeastern part of the world. So, with Thalryndd and Celeborn, they're both in the southwestern corner of the map, and the Nesvychian Empire is all over here. So it's a completely different part of the world, and it's very, very differently structured. So you've got Nesvych, and then you've got the Nesvychian Empire, which spans about 7 countries. 3 of which on the same landmass on Nesvych, and then 3 of which off the landmass. A few of those are self-governing as well, so they don't follow the Empire's rules, but they are under the Empire's protection and laws. And basically, the whole Nesvychian Empire started because a Goliath clan in the mountains went to war with some elves. And basically, this Goliath clan from the mountains made friends with a gnome clan a bit lower down the mountains. They then made friends with some dwarves a bit lower down the mountains, met up with some humans on the way, and the elves were just kind of over here being Poncy and Arsey, and they just got fucking hammered. Come on, you got Goliaths, gnomes, dwarves, and humans coming at you full pelt. They're pissed off at you. It would be like if all of Zeus's kids turned up to slap him in the face. And that's basically what happened. And because of the Goliath attitude of stronger and pushing the boundaries and being risk takers, and then the gnomish attitude of wanting to be inventors and inventiveness and creativity, the two families really gelled and basically took this feud against the elves to the absolute extreme and pushed the elves out of Nesvych, all the way off the landmass, to the point where the elves of Nesvych actually got on their boats and sailed south to one of 3 countries that's actually on one landmass I've not actually named yet. The actual individual countries are all named, but I've not actually named that landmass, and I might not. Basically, they are 3 countries all around a central point, and each of those countries is ruled by one of the 3 elves, so High Elf, Drow, and Wood Elf. And I'm a huge fan of Terry Pratchett, and Terry Pratchett used a quote to explain why on the Discworld there is no racism. Why there is no racism between white, brown, black, blah, blah. It is because when there is something else to deal with, white and black will team up to beat up green. Now, in this situation, white and black is High Elf, Wood Elf, Drow, Dark Elf. Normally, those 3 races would beat each other's necks for obvious reasons. Mostly the High Elf's fault. But they have joined forces because right now they've got a Goliath clan who is ruling an empire with a gnome clan also assisting in the ruling of this empire. And they have innumerable forces, technology advancing exponentially, magic that is pushing the boundaries, and so many allies and so much power that unless they join forces, they will have been obliterated by now. And it all stems back to this animosity between this one clan of Goliaths and this one village of elves. Now, because of that, it's sort of expanded. So any elves that live within the Nesvychian Empire that is governed by the Nesvychian Empire, by the Nesvychian Goliath or gnome clans, they are really heavily ostracized. They can't get work. They're second class citizens. If you think Dragon Age style, the alienages and the city elves, how they're treated, it's quite similar to that, but turned up a few more notches. Basically, there are areas within the Nesvychian Empire where an elf will not get served at a bar, will not be able to get a job, and basically will just be treated as scum, just for the crime of having pointy ears. Half-elves have a very similar problem within the Nesvychian Empire, unless they openly revoke their elf half. Basically, if they are open with their dislike of being half-elf, they can get by. They'll still be treated with some of the mistrust and some of the hatred, but it won't be as bad. It's also if they wore like elven clothes, or if the half-elves basically did their hair to reveal the pointy ears, they will still get hammered, effectively. And that's kind of the ostracized culture. And the reason I kind of opted for that really heavily was because I love the idea of a Goliath and a gnome clan working together, because the two races work really well together. The Goliaths obviously having that strong emphasis on pushing the boundaries, being stronger, being smarter, being better than everyone else, and the gnomes have this real desire to push the boundaries, be creative, be inventive, make a mess and make mistakes. Basically, all gnomes are Miss Frizzle. And now combine Miss Frizzle with... I don't have a good example. The Goliaths are just too amazing. And if you read up on both of them and imagine the two races working together, you can kind of see how they'd really blend. I know Critical Role went into it to an extent, because obviously in Vox Machina you had Grog, who was a Goliath barbarian, and then you had Pike and Scanlan, who are both gnomes. So there was an extent of that, and I understand that there was a lot... I've not actually seen Vox Machina, I just know a lot from reading up on the story. I'm actually a lot more into Campaign 2, Mighty Nine. I'm probably going to get flack for that. Doesn't matter. Percy's great, though. But basically, these two clans working together is very powerful. These two races working together. It's why the Nesvychian Empire has kind of grown so powerful. And they are really... There is open war with the elves. So any elves within the boundaries of the Nesvychian Empire are screwed. Anyone who is even remotely Fey-touched is screwed. Tieflings actually get a better lot in life in the Nesvychian Empire than half-elves do. Because, yeah, they're half-demon, but at least they ain't elf. That's what people actively say in the streets of the Nesvychian Empire. And half-orcs have a better life. Orc tribes are allowed to just roam the mountains freely, because at least they're not elves. And the orcs love it. It really is, and it is awful when you look at it with that view of this is active racism. And that is what it is. And I really want that level of discomfort within my story, because it's going to be fantastic, because I know at least one player has already decided to play a half-elf, and he doesn't know. So, Dudley, if you're watching this, have fun! Alright, see you tomorrow for something a bit shorter than this, something a bit more fun rather than heavy subjects of racism. I'm going to be talking about the youth of Dale, back on Celebor, where things are nice and there is no racism. See ya.